So welcome to another exploration into consciousness with the Earth Noble Hubbers. Welcome everyone. And today we're going to talk about the illusion of anger, or breaking through the illusion of anger. And just by saying illusion of anger, that's going to piss people off, right? Because it's quite a real thing when we go into that space of anger, right? It is, hey? But I'm wondering, and this is, it's come up in my world, it's come up with my own experiences, but I'm seeing it all over the place. And you guys have also started, contributing by saying yes. And I wonder if it is the same anger that we experienced before, or is there a slight difference in that intensity that is coming through, where we can almost say, okay, first level, if you want to call it awakening, first level of awakening, okay, now next surface level is coming up. It's really coming up. The next level of emotions in a slightly different intensity is coming up for resolution. And whilst we have to say that onion layered sort of healing does not necessarily have to happen to people, some people just, snap out of it and never go back into that anger or into any of those emotions, and others actually don't. And one thing I want to say to that is, whatever emotions we have healed and we have broken through the illusion of it, we have redefined it, we have out-focused it, or any of that, all of it is still available in the quantum field. And there is a level of stepping into it whenever it is required. And the one thing that I have realized with myself is that I've used my intensity that I call anger to match other people's anger. And that is not necessarily a very enlightened perspective. I'm very perceptive of that, but it's just another choice. Because sometimes, and I think we said that on a few occasions within our shows here, is that compassion doesn't always just pack it. Sometimes you have to step and match the energy in order to take it out. And this is just talking from my level of experience. And the interesting thing is, and that's where the energy of intensity has changed its quality, because you can match it, or I did match it at the time. That was a conscious choice at the time. It wasn't that reactive choice. It was a conscious choice to match it, because I was aware of the anger entity that was presenting itself. And it didn't stick. As soon as the matching took place, everything just dissipated. The bubble dissipated, exploded, got released, and whoever was present in that intense flow just moved on from there. And that was quite interesting to see. So first question is, how have you been perceiving anger? How have you been dealing with it? Or what's going on in your world? And how has that quality of anger intensity sort of changed? Anyone? Oh, nobody's angry. No, that's cool.
We're all the same.
I was gonna see if someone else will go, but I guess I could go.
Go ahead.
So I wrote down two things of anger, because I had two moments where I just lost it, just like ballistic, just I've done pretty good about dealing with my anger for a good amount of time compared to the past few years, because it was destroying my gut and I had to overcome it. But every now and then it'll surface, like some things will just trigger it and bring it up, But like December, I had yeah, two instances. I'll tell you. December or January, but I guess January is more relevant. But December, like I had instances where I've been having this internal conflict with the dog we got, because we got him for Malik because you know, dogs will assist autistic kids because it gives them, you know, something to touch and hold and whatnot. You know, for the longest time, it's just become a nuisance for me. So I'm just like, oh, I just gotta walk this dog all the time because he's always projecting at me and it just drives me nuts. And I'm just always trying to be centered, focused on what I'm doing. And he's like, rah, 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 rah. Just he wants to go on that timer. I'm just like, damn it, I'm trying to get ready for work. I got too many things going on, you know. And one day he broke out of the kennel. Like, you know, me and my partner, we went out to go see Godzilla, see a good movie, come back home, and he broke out of the kennel. He just pissed and shit all over the bed, and I'm just like, just furious, just so angry, just because to him it's a puppy pad, but to me it's just like, dang it, you know, just you're testing me, dog. um but yeah, just, you know, all this hatred and anger just surfacing. I just can't help it, just go crazy about it. But you know,
Would you
had
say
to,
would you
oh, go
say
ahead, Martin.
would you say the dog was matching your anger by being
Most likely.
intense? Mm.
Most likely, because I know over the years, or over the years, yeah, probably the years, yeah, just this anger, I just haven't let it go. I just keep pushing it aside. It's like, whatever. I'm always angry at this dog. I'm always putting bad energy on him. So I just have this resentment towards him. And finally, like, a lot of things have been happening. Just like I had to confront it. I had to deal with it, you know? And even like when I was just dealing anger out on him, I was just like, finally I had a moment like I mean, it was like a few weeks ago or a week or two ago, but just like the anger, I just feeling it. I was like, you know, projecting the anger at him. Like I could feel it in my throat, my neck, and just like, man, I just had the realization. It's like, I'm the reason why I'm making this whole thing so stressful. If I just walk him and that's it, and quit projecting my BS at him, it'll be okay, you know. And I've been walking him with ease, and don't get frustrated. Just see it from the dog eyes perspective instead of just my perspective. Like, I can't stand you, dog. I want to get rid of you. You're just a nuisance. But it's like, he's here for Malik. He helps Malik. Malik loves him. Malik, you know, hugs him and holds him and does all these things with him. I'm just saying from my perspective, you're just a burden. You're just taking time away from me. You're always projecting at me. You're distorting my energy field. It's just like, I have all these reasons. And we're finally getting on this, me and my partner getting on the same page. Like, you know, I'll walk him this time, you walk him this time. We'll both contribute, because it was all just kind of dumped on me. You better walk the dog. You better do this. And just like, I can't, I'm getting late to work. It's too much stuff going on. But, you know, I've been realizing, like, it's just me. It's just me. I'm the one that needs to get over this and just let it go, because I'm putting all this tension and pressure on my throat every day from this dog situation. And I've been getting over that. And and then January, was it like a few days ago, I had a thing where I was getting frustrated with a coworker, because he's always like, he's really nitpicky about like everything being clean. I mean, I respect it because he's been a meat cutter for like, what, 20, 30 years. And like, he's trying to keep the standard, like high quality cuts, like everybody clean up after themselves, all these good principles that everybody, I feel like the youthful generation should pick up on and grasp, because the way that new generations are, I don't know, it's just different. You know, they're not like super tidy, or like they care about all the things that the older generations care about, you know. Older generations, they're trying to keep this high standard of like, you know, high quality cuts and like clean up after yourself, make sure everything's tidy. He was like barking at me about some pans I didn't pick up, but we were just so busy because we had a blizzard that was coming in a few days ago. And every time there's a blizzard or some cold scenario in Austin, everybody just like frantically shops like crazy, just like they just start stocking up like it's the apocalypse. I'm like, I just got through the holidays, I want a break. And just like energy swarming in, where they already fired like a bunch of people at our job, so we're completely understaffed, overworked. I'm just like, man, I need to get vacation, because all this energy just keeps just coming at me. I'm just like, I just gotta keep doing my cold plunges, gotta keep running, gotta keep breathing. I just gotta keep on this intense energy wheel that I've been on, you know. I do the best I can to manage it. But yeah, eventually just like the energy was swirling up, and he's like, oh, did you pick up that pan? I was like, oh, just having a pause moment. I was like, just let it go, Alfredo, just let it go. And the energy just kept building and building. And then in my head, I was like, just tell him what you're going to tell him, how you really feel. Tell him how you really feel. I was like, no, Alfredo, just let it go. Let it go. It's okay. And then I take a 10-minute break. I come back, and then, you know, I don't know, I couldn't help. I was like, you know what, damn it. You're always leaving this thing here and I pick it up after you all the time. And I just called him out. He is BS because I don't like when people, what is it saying? Like, it's I can't remember the quote, but it's like, whatever. It's like everybody's poo-poo stinks, It's like, everybody's got their own junk. I had to call him out on this, and I just got angry, just unleashed this anger on him, and took another 10-minute break because I was like, forget this. I'm angry. If I stay here, I'm just going to get fired because I'm going to start yelling in front. I'm always, not anymore. I used to do this real bad, but yell in front of customers and do this out in public. Just it's not good, But I just let it out. And then like afterwards, after a few days went by, got myself together. I apologized to him. So I'm sorry. It's just a stressful situation. The energy's building up too much, and just, yeah, that's it. I'll keep it short because I'll just keep it right there.
No, you've mentioned so many great things to actually talk about. It's like that surrender, to allow yourself to surrender into the matching, which is one thing. Yeah. And this is not condoning that we should all scream at each other, but whatever needs to happen, surrender into that, to allow yourself to say things. And then as you said, hi Jen, as you said, you then went to apologize, So, I think it's very important to realize that, especially now where things are intense, you can outcreate it, you can work on it, you can clear it, you can revocate it out. But when it does happen, allow it. It had to come out for whatever reason, and you mentioned also something, Alfredo, you mentioned the throat chakra. You could feel it in your throat, and a lot of those emotions are still clocked. Doesn't just have to be anger, but a lot of those intensities are clocked in our throat chakra, because the throat chakra is the seat of the mental body, and the mental body is very much challenged at the moment. Because as we are clearing the astral body, the solar plexus a lot, it's almost like, I look at it, the majority of the first wave of awakening or clearing was clearing the emotions in the astral body, in the solar plexus. And the next wave that is coming in is more a mental one. Yes, it's still reactive, but there is more choice in it. It's becoming more conscious. It's more of a mental, more of that kind of airy one. It's a spiritual one, airy one, a more dry one, not that watery astral body, solar plexus one, where you just get in it and you're gone, you can't get out or anything. Whereas with the mental body awakening, or clearing through the throat chakra, becoming more authentic and allowing ourselves to be our truth to be spoken, or really speaking in order to find our truth. It's a more mental realization rather than anything else. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I'm acknowledging some of these thoughts that keep coming into my head, because I keep thinking, I don't know, I don't want to be, I don't know, just, I get this weird relationship with my mind, because, I used to have all these negative thoughts coming in. So I'm just like, I don't want to act on these negative thoughts. And I have like, I wouldn't say they're positive thoughts, but they're just like things. It's like something sending me a message, like, say this. And it keeps coming in. And I'm just like, it's just my mind. But it's like, keeps coming in over and over. It's like, I should just say it, because maybe I need to release and say what I need to say, So just been
and also
analyzing that bit more, or not analyzing, but intuiting that more.
Yeah, I think, also the next phase of this post-awakening that we're going into now is also the realization, it's like there is no negative or positive. We've really moved beyond that. It's just the thought that comes up, And yes, is it yours? Probably not. Majority of the thoughts are still not ours. That doesn't mean we can just blurt them out like that, but it helps a lot to find that balance between, yes, I'm going to say this now, I'm voicing this, I'm choosing to voice that, and maybe I need to reframe the way I communicate.
Yeah, definitely.
Jen,
Productively.
yeah. Well, and there's so many ways we can look at this. There's so many ways, you know, so many ways of clearing our anger and reframing it. And we've done this before. And but what's coming up for you guys, Sandrine and Jen and Herminia, when Alfredo was talking?
There was my relationship with anger was the one that I'm a fire sign, I'm a fire sign, I am a pitta, and so I can go off in 2 seconds, you know. And I can go off very harshly, but due to the fact that in my professional work, I need to be more diplomatic and working with different cultures, especially with the Asian culture, you do not do that. You don't lose your face. So I learned already to restrain myself. But sometimes I just need to explode. And then I'm actually exploding with people that know me, and for the smallest and stupidest reasons, right? And when Alfredo was talking, and this reminded me, and then I also put it down, is that I once heard a lot about where anger is stemming from, and it's from fear of losing something, or from fear of, you know, not being with it, not having it, or it's like it's a weird thing. If you're looking at it from that point of view, that anger stems from fear. For me, that there was like a huge block of my relationship with my father, for instance, where I had a lot of conflict. And I'm wondering, like, why is he always so angry about stupid stuff? And then I'm like, if I'm looking at it from the point of view of fear, it's his fear of losing out on something that makes him angry because he cannot get it, in a sense, you know? So I'm like, that's interesting. And now sometimes when I see that he goes into his anger thing or his drama thing, I'm like, calm down. It's all good, you know? Nothing is happening. It's fine. You don't losing out. You're not losing out. It's all here, you know, in a sense, like, that's very strange. And then obviously I also looked at it from my point of view. What am I fearing, you know, to respond to things like angrily? But then I noticed that it's a lot of like, it has to do with the thing with the trash, you know. It's like, I would get angry with these idiots, you know, not understanding that it's their own trash and it's their own responsibility to look at it. But then it's not fear from my side. Then it's more like, I'm being really angry about it because of the stupidity of these people. So where is then my anger really coming from, you see? I can understand that you got angry because the guy was like, because he was actually telling you you're not clean, in a sense, you know. Certainly you get angry then. Yeah, I am. But is it not more like a hurting of your pride, or of your, you know, a hurting, being hurt by something, you know, in a sense. So for me, but then I'm still not looking at it, you know, where is my anger coming from when I'm facing the stupidity of people? You know, is it because but that makes me, in a sense, currently really angry. And I just said to Martina before we hit the recording, I spent a week with a 7 and an 8-year-old in snow holidays. I was like, it was wonderful. And now I'm spending time with senior citizens, 2 senior citizens, and I'm exasperated. You know, I'm like, I'm exhausted. And there is also, now that I'm exhausted, this anger thing can come up like, you know, like this, you know, you flip out immediately, although nothing really happened. And you're like, why am I now being so angry at these people? But is it anger? You know, is that not exasperation and just like, oh, like, okay, just letting it out? And yes, the way, like, also Alfredo just, and you mentioned like the throat, I'm noticing of how I'm speaking then to people. If I notice that, you know, the level goes up, I am going down with I can be very, very hard, loud with my voice. But then I'm immediately refraining myself from it and going all low and, you know, speaking more calmly and trying to, you know, just with the contrary. But I also have experienced the thing, and that is especially with animals, because I'm a dog lover and I always have dogs around me. That when those are getting into a fight, then you need to get in with the same energy, because you know, as the alpha, you know, matching it, and then it's like, okay, what happened now? You know, somebody else came in and it's like, whoa, okay. Well, if they're already completely crazy and at their own throats, then you just let them do and you wait until it's finished. But before it even escalates into that, and just matching that, just screaming at them for a moment. It also works with people, but less so.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like it's still a bit of an old paradigm technique, I would say, but you know, depending on who you're dealing with at the time, especially when you start dealing with dissociated anger entities, then you can't say you're talking to somebody, you're not talking to that particular person anymore. And I made that very clear when I had my match with that. I said, look, I'm not having a go at you. I was talking to that entity. And then afterwards I looked at that, I'm thinking, oh, that was the teacher taking the way out, because I should have probably dealt with it in a more, you know, loving way. But when I looked at it from a very sacred, neutral perspective, the matching was what was required at the time. And I'm more than happy to say, you know, there are other ways of dealing with that, depending on the situation. You always got to look at what is happening right now and what is required right now to either match the intensity, and you can be very loving and match it as well, you know, in a very loving way. I just didn't do that at the time. Now, there's just a few other things, because Sandrine, as you were speaking, you mentioned twice the word face, losing face and facing people. And I thought that was quite an interesting metaphorical representation of leading us towards identity. Because not wanting to lose face is very much an identity thing. Not wanting to lose the definition that I have given myself in a certain particular role, be this now at work or, you know, at home with your dad, with your colleagues or something. Now, we are going through an energy where we can no longer hold on to our identities from that perspective.
That is what I have noticed lately.
And it's not about letting go of or disregarding your ego or disregarding everything, all the work that you've done until now, but we're getting into that identities. If you're holding on to them, not wanting to lose face, because you don't just have one face, we got to become really much more open to letting go of some of those faces that are actually no longer serving us. Does anyone want to say something to that? Because I made another note of that.
But you know, from my point of view, I can like it's really kind of challenge for me to trying to be deciding angers or no, because I remember, I think the last time I experienced angers was last year in May, that my computer was hijacked, and I got mad and angry about myself, because I was feeling I was judging myself, I was victimized, and I allow other people to take control of my mind and be able to then to get access to my computer. I got mad about myself, how I was so, you know, myself was saying, how I was so silly, so stupid. You know, I was very angry. I was in the position that if I had a gun, I had somebody in front of me for this guy, that I would kill it without even thinking about it. It was because it was like the moment when you see this system of abuse or eating one another, I for some time I don't understand why we have so manipulated just in the survival of I had to eat youth in order for me to be alive, and how those people, those hijack people, affecting so many people in different way and shape and form. And in that moment, I was very angry, but it was angry about myself and the system, because I was thinking, what is the point of this craziness? Because I always looking to grow myself, looking for the best for everyone, looking for the best to contribution, and then somebody take advantage of that like that. It's like, what my reflection was, what am I involved with? What my sense to be here in this crazy playground of this level of consciousness? And all those questions came to my brain, and I was like maybe 3 days or something to get over, because I was, all those things that come into your thought, injustice, abuse, control, manipulation, all those, like the link from the angers that got the parents, like they say, if you're thinking about the napkins, automatically you get the forks, the spoon, the meal, everything, because it's like a link of connection of thought. And by coincidence, I was looking one of the Matia Stefano this morning that popped out in my iPad, and it was one of those things that he had the title of ties. And he was talking about how we are a net or link of connection. And then from that point, I was remember, because if I think myself, I have my mind, or my mind is connected to my surrounding, and my surrounding is connected to our other surrounded, and for that surroundings we connected to the planetary mind. It's so many levels and levels and levels. And then if I feel mad or angry about something, it can be not necessarily about me. It can be something that I am experiencing from somebody else, because we are like a net or link connection. Humanity is a link or connection. And I was thinking about one class I took with David Ellis about how we are hardwired. All humanity we had this connection, and that's why we're feeling that when something happens in such an area, the people that are in that frequency, that's my point of view, in that frequency, match with that feeling in that moment. If the angry is a sadness, deprivation, whatever it is, because we are interconnected. And then if I feel angry, and I feel angry for any little thing that happened in my surrounding, in my life, something happened with my daughter, and I feel the reaction of anger, it's automatic. I put myself my break, and I think about it again. Also, because I look in the way to be aware about that, not to let that feeling, emotion to control me. It can be for 1 second or 1 minute, but automatically I caught it, and I realized that when I see somebody acting in the way that can make me mad, I understand from the point of view of the compassion. I said, this human being is just another person that is manipulated for the system, for the whatever it is in their life, and they are just like a machine reaction. And that helped me to know, be in that position, the person that is telling me the anger that they are feeling in the moment. I'm able to detach myself, because I see behind it just the effect, the reaction of somebody that is experiencing something that maybe they don't even know why they experience that. Because we have been programmed to this self-aware, not worthy enough, that we are never enough, that we are not good enough. That's all the program everywhere. Most of the music and the commercial, the social media, always something that we have to be sorry about ourselves, that we are not good enough. And then we have so much stuff, because we are connected. We are not detached from everything. Unless that we are super, super human, that we are just like a put the bubble and nothing penetrating it. is, maybe that's only the only way, but however, the environment, the surrounding, the city where I am, the location where I am, I'm going to be affected for whatever is happening, because there's no way I can be disconnected from that. And then for I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Sorry to interrupt you there, but there's so much in that, we can actually play with, because this is a real dichotomy in a way, because we're talking about sovereignty teaching. Sovereignty teaching, and this is why we have to now start really redefining lots and lots of the things that we have worked with in the past. Because there's this one thing, one of the sovereignty teachings or sovereignty, the questions we've always using, is this mine? And if it's not mine, you picked it up from the collective and you send it back to sender. That is one of the tools. But having said that, we've also always said that if you still pick it up and it allows you, and you allow it to trigger you, then there is a vibrational what's the word, affinity that is still there. Now, so what we are actually saying, there is a level of separation that we are creating in order not to get affected. Now that is in complete contradiction of where we're going with this awakening business, where we're all gonna come into that oneness, where we are trying to get back into this group soul consciousness, into this divine consciousness. So, and I don't want to call it responsibility anymore. I want to call it motivation, because the people that are on this path devotionally doing the work, trying to understand awakening, self-realization, self-development, this is a motivation to take it all the way. And I think, I can safely say that whoever comes on this show and watches the show is probably ready to do that, to take it all the way, right? So how can we come into that oneness realization without separation, without boundaries, without even having to bring up sovereignty anymore? Because this is the interesting thing. As soon as we have done the work or have had the realization that there is no duality, there is no polarization, there is none of that, all of that is the illusion, we don't have to go into this emotional hoo-ha anymore. And there is a path to get there. But I want to go back, because I think Sandrine said it, and also Alfredo mentioned it in the beginning when he was telling us about the dog story. It was like, he tried to see the world from the dog's point of view, through the dog's eyes.
Yes.
Now, this is going to be interesting, because the people that are at a certain level of awareness, they can say, okay, I'm no longer reactive to this and this and this, what's happening in the global narrative. They can now start looking, let me view this through the eyes of the senior citizen. Let me view this through the eyes of the dog, through the eyes of the hacker, through the eyes of, the angry neighbor, and all of that, without entangling with it. And this is where we want to go. This is where we want to go. I mean,
it's like everybody's in the.
I want to go.
As everybody's in their own show. If I don't want to participate in that show, I just have to let it go. Because it's their own unique experience, the unique whatever they feeling in that moment. I don't know if you if I'm misinterpreting the point of view, but for me to be able to see the angriness and be involved in that, from my point of view, is the awareness to step out. Is it becoming human? I had to feel in some moments, but I had to have the consciousness to be able to reback myself to, oh no, that emotion is not necessary, because I can understand, I can see with my awareness. I said, well, this happened because, but it's not somebody somebody do something for me that affect me and I make me feel angry, then I have to looking like you said, like Alfredo went to looking from the point of view of the dog, like try to understand why it happened, no reacting with the anger.
You see, and this is another point which we're moving into. It's like understanding versus experience, right? So
yeah.
everything is a perception, because this whole evolution, revolution, what is a consciousness evolution? It's a change in perception. Everything we learn, we say we're learning, is changing the perceptions, changing our levels of awareness, basically. So let's take a moment where you think of, we all have these, have those moments of anger intensity. Think of that moment right now, without having to move, step out, step in, walk away, close the door behind, lose our face, nothing. Just think of that right now, because you will start perceiving it, because it's that simple. And then from that place, without any movement of any, just expand yourself out. And we've done this before. So like, you're angry in this crowd. So take your consciousness and expand it out beyond that crowd, beyond the body, beyond the room, beyond, perceive it on the top of a mountain. And then just take another look and see what has changed. Has that anger transformed into something else? Has the intensity evaporated? Or is it still there?
Oh, you're asking about in this moment? Is it still there in this moment?
Yeah, whatever you have chosen, whatever anger example you have chosen for yourself.
No, in my case, no, because you know, I overcome all the effect that came through that angriness, the like powerless, like ignorance, all those things that coming through, like is attached to that feeling. I forgive myself and overcome that, because I cannot be stay in that position. If it's coming, I just cancel it because I don't need it. It was an experience that for some reason I went through, but that doesn't have to be part of my history anymore.
Yeah. Cool. Jen.
Doesn't have the charge anymore, but a lot of that comes down to most of those emotions in that moment are distortion, right? It's not what actually happens. It's just your perception of it or something else coming in that's influencing it and distorting your perspective in that moment. So once you start working, dissolving the distortion, like nothing really has that charge anymore.
Yeah.
So Sandrine was mentioning fear with her dad's situation, fear underlying, you know, because sometimes when you work that sort of method of dropping through your emotions, there's a method where you can drop through. You drop through the fear and then through the anger. Sometimes fear comes up, sadness, you know, as you keep dropping through. That is one of the methods you can use, a breakthrough sort of method, breaking through, allowing yourself to feel the emotion and to get through it. Now, and we've said it on a couple of occasions, every one of you said it, what is actually fear, not fear, anger and potency have in common?
There's a sermon from I went to church forever ago. It's been over 20 years, but like that sermon still sits with me, because the priest said that anger is the most delicious emotion on the lips, and that's true. I mean, anger has the most fire in us, the most resonance. It's the one that makes us stand up out of our seat. You know what I mean? So the potency of it, anger is the one that our bodies most, for at least mine, most viscerally respond to.
It's mean because it's stronger. have a strong fire. The fire is stronger. The lining, like a fire lining.
But this is the thing with fire, it destroys and it cleanses and purifies at the same time.
Yeah.
What I've been finding, and this is when I step into that anger, or when I see people step into that anger, it's a non-acknowledgement of their potency. It's a non-acknowledgement of the infinite potentials that are actually available to deal with the situation in a different way. So the anger is a disguise of your potency, it could be choices you are making that don't necessarily serve your infinite potential, but you're still making them. And then you're getting angry. So it's like, you know, inviting people over, somehow knowing there's going to be a fucking disaster. Or things like that. You know what I mean? It's always that. That's what they have in common. Anger is an intensity as much as potential and potency is. So I welcome anger from that perspective, because it always reminds me, oh, there's something else you haven't chosen yet.
Make it. You gotta make a choice.
Yeah.
Just want to make the choice. This makes sense what Jen share, because I think that is the first emotion when you have to react for something. You have to be uncomfortable, and then the sparkling the angerness inside the body that making you to take action. Like if someone you say it's enough, no, this is enough. Is that means that you have burnt out, and the anger coming out right away.
And also, you know, I mean, I just looked up the definition of anger, and this came up as intense emotional response, feelings of displeasure, hostility, threat, injustice. That, I can't remember that. I don't know. And then I thought, okay, well, let me look at all of that, and let me look at the opposite of those. So if that triggers me, what's the opposite that I haven't embraced yet, or I could embrace more? And then, of course, what comes up? Pleasure, kindness, lack of aggression, which is not the best word, but yes, safety, security, equality. So these are all those little things that require lots of intensity as well, but they are obviously focused onto the opposite of that, what anger just brings up. And that's a lovely way of just playing with that. And I do that when I get triggered. It's like, okay, done, surrender, I'm sorry or not, and now let me work through this. What can I embrace? What can I, you know, I still use the word learning, revelation, and see how I can start dealing with things differently.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think, you know, why this whole discussion today is, you know, why for what purpose is anger surfacing? Because it's the next level of potency we got to step into. We got to break through that illusion, right?
I mean, you know that you mentioned something right there that reminded me one day that Andrew told me. I was telling him that I'm ready to get over all this. I want to finish with my whatever I can to do here. He told me, that's never ends. you never end with this process. And I was so disappointed about it because I was looking for that. I was like, let me get out of here as soon as possible. Show me what I had to do and give me my passport to leave. And that I was in that position. And then when he told me that this is a process that never ends, I was so disappointed that I came, you know, in such a way. Maybe it was not a specific anger. It was like dissolution. I said, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is a whole process that we have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, no matter where we're going. And I was so, I feel so isolated. I feel so wow, hopeless. Because I was looking for the end, you know. And then when you figure out this is never ending, because this, if we continuing, maybe different level, it's never ending. And that's why you said the angers is.
What if it is? What if it is ending? What, you have a choice to end it. And I think every single one of us on this planet and beyond has a choice to end it, to break through that illusion and go beyond the duality back into singularity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really
I will be so grateful to go back to my sources for where I can front. And I want to be aware of, for my next choice. That will be my choice, you know. I really are looking forward this homesickness of my experience, my grandness of my beingness from where I came from, my first sparkling light. I just looking for that. Everything I do every day in my life is looking for the moment to go back to my sources from where I came from.
And that's called devotion to the purpose of life, of this lifetime. And the remembrance maybe that there is nowhere to go. You've got to stay right where you're at. And your life might not even change. Your situation might not change. But you're just no longer looking at it from the old way, from the old paradigm way. No longer triggering you. And you can see the beauty, you can see through it, through the illusion, and see the beauty, see the infinite possibilities. And that's what we're looking at. This is what we're trying is not a good word. That's what we're working towards, working with on a daily basis.
That we can.
Yeah. And it's, yes, we always have a little, Sandrine, you want to say something?
Yeah, I am sorry. You know what? It's the last few years, I noticed that when we're talking about anger and fear and potency and all that, I let go of my anger. I mean, there are still some situations where you just, you know, where you need to burn this out to cleanse yourself of a few things. But this, because I approach it really from this fear thing, and then I'm like, you know, I'm already a world citizen, or, you know, the galactic citizens. And the more and more I'm actually engaging in this, you know, the construction of that house here, the more and more I feel free. You know, it's like, it's a duality. It's not the duality, but it's like this dichotomy thing about, although I'm constructing a house, you know, where people would like, you know, for staying and for being safe, for me, it's like actually freeing myself of things. It's freeing myself of this need to be somewhere. It's more like, you know, I'm constructing my house of freedom in a sense. It's like, it's very weird. But I'm feeling like, okay, I'm more and more letting go of things. And wherever I'm going to put my feet, it will be fine. You know, it doesn't matter. As long as I can still find, you know, some eggs and whatever to eat, it's fine, you know. And but coming to this realization that I have nothing to find, I have nothing to go to. I just want to learn and I want to experience, because that is my nature. I want to learn, I want to experience, and that is why I'm here. And I keep on learning, and then keep on doing, and I'm keep on following my path there. But this thing about this house, where you could think of like, okay, now she's, you know, she's settling down and she wants to repose herself there, but not at all, because every time somebody's asking me, so what are you going to do with it? And I'm like, nothing. What am I going to do with it? Nothing, you know. Will be a house, there will be a bathroom, there will be a mattress, and there will be a sofa, you know. So okay, whatever, it will just be mine, whatever, and maybe one day I will sell it, or whatever is going to happen. So, you know, this like being freeing yourself of many things, of becoming this galactic, you know, it's opening up this, I'm not a world citizen, I'm really like I'm from out there somewhere,
Yeah.
and I'm just experiencing this now in a really like when you were talking about the mirror, you know, actually before I just look in the mirror in the morning to see if I'm more or less okay, decent, because I have a representative function. And that's about it. And then I do not look in the mirror anymore until I wash my teeth, or not even, you know, in the evening. Like I'm saying hello to myself, or I'm saying good night. That's about it. I'm not looking at, okay, now I'm looking at myself because through this thing here. But otherwise, I would not even look at myself in the mirror. I don't need that because I know in a sense who I am, you know, like
Yeah.
I know I don't have to look at me all the time.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, it's like, you know, it sounds like your house is a metaphorical representation of your inner strength, the fortification of your, you know, I am. That
Yeah, in a sense, yes.
doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily, you don't do it from a safety perspective, you don't do it from a boundary perspective. You're in fact doing it from a community perspective in a way, because you're open to having people come over, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is part of, as far as I'm concerned, this is part of honoring your body, your embodiment, you know.
It's like enjoying the process, but not getting any attachment to the process. The experience, enjoying the experience.
Yeah.
I would, Jen, go ahead. I'm just saying that I would have to leave you right here. I need to go and
Hey,
sit
darling.
there.
Thanks for coming on. Hey, we see you.
Bye bye.
Yes.
Bye.
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 Something that Sandrine had said that kind of brought up a thought for me was about saving face, because like on a personal level, that's never really been important for me, but on a professional level, like for my job, saving face sometimes used to feel really important to hold my position in my industry. And I've noticed in the last couple of years that like that need for me has really dissolved, and I don't really care anymore how people see me or what people think of me. I do my job with honor and intelligence, and outside of that, and intent to do the right thing. And outside of that, like how other people perceive that becomes far and far less important to me than it ever did before. And I think a lot of that comes back to like the non-judgment practice and the non-attachment practice, because while I'll do this for as long as I'm called to do it, I have no fear of not having it anymore. And that ties back into that fear, because we fear not having money and we fear not being able to support ourselves. And that's probably why Sandrine's dad was so angry all the time. I mean, as a father figure, there's a lot of pressure to protect the family and make sure that the family is fed and housed and all those things. There's all that pressure associated with fear. But at the end of the day, like somehow everything's always going to get met. There's really no reason to have any fear of any of that. And once you don't have that fear, then all the other things that build up to that and around that you feel like you have to hold up doesn't matter anymore.
I love that so much. I can relate to that completely. Because like a lot of times I'll hold myself back from like having little outbursts because I want to speak how I truly feel, but it's not like professional. It's not like corporate. It's not business of me to do that. It's like maintain that professionalness. And then I aim to be professional, like in what I do, but at the same time, I have my vision and sight on the higher dream. You know, it's not about just being, you know, stuck in the retail job. It's like I got higher dreams other than this. So it's like I used to have this like, well, it's not as bad, but the spirit's like, oh, you know, I might lose my job, might get fired or some other nonsense. I just like, they're letting that go. It's like, you know, this isn't everything, you know, it's just a place to get income that supports my dream. I've been reframing how I view my job. So I feel different about when I come in, you know, I just feel different, more free when I'm there, more free to express myself. And then more of the synchronistic conversations with other people are coming in because I get to converse with like cool ass DJs throwing parties and like all these cool ass people that are just true and authentic and just like make me feel alive, you know, just like, yeah, I love seeing this person because this person's free, you know? having more and more of those interactions on just invigorate me, because it's just, I don't know, it's just so nice to have that higher dream goal perspective when I'm in the corporate realm, because
Definitely.
I love my job, I appreciate my job, but it's not the everything, because some people, for them, it's everything. Like, they're just like in fear of losing it. They want to protect, I don't know, it just controls them. I know how much it controls them. And I know that some aspects of myself were just like in that as well. But I've been letting those go. It's like, no, man, I got higher goals, higher dreams. All that is just income to have a home, food to eat, support my family. But it's going to help fund my dream of what I wanted to create, which is greater and higher than just being stuck in this. And I just feel more free about it.
And the more,
And people are supporting me. People are energetically supporting me. Hey, man, come over here. I'll hook you up with this. I'll hook you up with that. Like, people are just like eager to like hook me up. It's go ahead, Jane.
express yourself in that authenticity. I mean, I wouldn't tell a client to fuck off or anything. I mean, like, rational and reasonable with how you communicate to others, but the more that I do express my full intentions and where I want to go beyond where I've been, the more I see those other people coming in, the other people that are looking to create that net of community, and other people trying to create some of the things that I'm trying to create. And so how do we help each other? And so that does draw in that co-creative community that we've all been looking for. And on the other side of that, just looking at contrasts, the people that are still very programmed and very polar, and that are displaying those outbursts of anger and being irrational and trapped up in fear, I have a lot more compassion for them. So like, they don't really incite any kind of trigger in me. I look at them just with compassion, and they can have their rant, and I'm just like, sure, have a great day. So like, y'all go on your way, have a great day, be safe. Like, it doesn't entangle with me at all.
Yeah.
And
You don't buy.
Awesome.
You don't buy the invitation.
well, and Jen, that what you're saying is actually, that's pure potency. That's really the potential that we all have, to have this undivided belief system where we no longer separate this is right, this is wrong, where we can actually hold a multitude of points of views without having to pick them apart and separate them. And that is our undivided nature. Our true nature is undivided, not separate. And this is where we're going backwards, whatever. We're going, we are becoming more realized as the I am avatar, which means we can hold a variety, a multitude of opposing points of views, which means we're becoming more capable of seeing through other people's eyes without losing ourselves, because we are multidimensional. We can do this. How many points of views, contradicting point of views, can you hold?
Unlimited.
Without falling apart. Yeah, that's pure potential. And also, that's intelligence. That's wisdom. That's knowing that this is truth. There's not one truth. And none of those points of views is in a hierarchy, is in a competition. And this whole thing of, going through the avatar, through the I am fortification and bringing our shards back and everything, all of this is purely for then take that I am and integrate it back into divine consciousness without losing the quality of it, but letting go of the identity, letting go of the this is me. No, it's like a color. Jen, you're an artist. It's like there's the big canvas and we're just popping our blob of color on it. It's like, oh, this is MG, this is Jen, this is no. the whole picture comes together, the painting comes together, and we're all just bringing in our blobs of color, our different qualities that make this whole tapestry just beautiful.
Beautiful.
Undivided nature. And to be honest, I looked at this undivided nature because I love that word, undivided, because we just talk separation. And I think undivided is such a different kind of energy. Undivided nature, because I always call it true nature, undivided nature. And I'm like, oh, I'm not even close to that. Not even close to that, because I've had those glimpses, but I'm still by far too attached to my I am fortification, right?
I'm gonna say, like, we go through this process of defining all the things that we are. I am this, I am this, I am this, I am this. And the last few weeks, it's really come to me that, like, there's no need for any definition. I am whatever I am in the moment. Do you know what I mean? I don't have to have words for who I am or what I am. I'm just whatever I am in the moment.
This is, I've started looking into non-dualism again, because that's something just popped in, and I looked at that, I don't know, 20 years ago, and I liked it, but it didn't make sense, because I had to first understand the I am fortification before I could let it go. And, you know, I don't agree with the dualistic aspect or thought process of having to dissolve the ego. I haven't fucking worked so hard to get there. You know, it makes no sense. It makes no, you know, even from an out there perception, because even from a spiritual, if you want to call it spiritual perspective, the whole point of the separation is to create that oneness that is more colorful. But it's the attachment, the letting go of the attachment, and that's getting easier and easier and easier, and it's almost like I don't even have to do anything with it, because the motivation just dissipates. All of a sudden I wake up, there's no motivation to do this anymore. There's no, I just must not judge it, because that is that way of integrating, a way of, I know exactly who I am, but I'm not attached to it. I don't make it significant anymore, like you said, Jen. And that is a bit of a wacky, sometimes, you know, way to look at, oxymoron, really. But that's what this is all about, right? And this is, of course, why we worked so diligently to bring the yin, the yang, you know, the spirit, the soul, you know, all the different bodies together, all the different dimensions together, all clearing all the programming, so that we can do that. And it's finally happening. It's happening. And we find ourselves sometimes in that space where the astral body is no longer important. It's cleared. Like I said last time, for me, it's, I now create with, or at least this is my next metaphorical representation. I rather create with my womb. I put the seeds into my womb and let them be nurtured and nourished there, instead of, you know, having all this hoo-ha, emotional blah, blah. And that always does lead me more into the mental body. And the mental body is actually totally opposite to the astral body, because it is much more peaceful. It is much calmer. Even though we say, you know, oh, we're having all these thoughts coming in, and, you know, what if the thoughts are not the criminals? And that's so interesting, because, you know, we always, you know, the mind, the thought gets a bad rap, and then the astral body gets a bad rap, and this and that. And what if none of that? Or what if all those standards, like Alfredo mentioned earlier on, those standards we're trying to adhere to, it has to be cut that way, and it has to be done this way, because this is good and this is not good. Fuck the standards, because they are breaking apart. Identities, standards, all of it is breaking apart. Is that going to bring up anger? Of course. because anger is pure potency. It's the opposite of it. And as everything is falling apart, our potency is seriously challenged. What are we going to do now? Now we have to go back to faith. We have to go back to trust. We have to go back to choice.
Well, all that falling apart puts you back in fear. Yes. Who am I if I don't know who I am? You know, what if I'm not going to be able to maintain my standard of living? Like, what if my friends aren't going to view me the same way? And the more that you can, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, the more that you can pull that back and not have the attachment to any of that and the emotion of it, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter is my running theme for the last 6 months. When something didn't work out the way that I thought it would or the way that I wanted to, like, it doesn't really upset me anymore because I just, like, it doesn't matter, because whatever that didn't become, something else will. Every day is just a day. Do you know what I mean? But I was thinking about the topic for today and how much peace and neutrality and like you can just stand in the eye of the storm when you don't really have the emotional charge of anything. But we're also here to be humans, and the whole point of being human is to feel everything. And so it's both. But that's just what we were saying a minute ago. It's everything. All of it is everything. There's no one point of view. There's no one standard of ethics. There's no one color. There's no one Jennifer. It's all of it. And I try to look at all of it now as everything has potential in my moment today of what I'm looking at. And that gives me the highest potential to experience everything I want to experience.
And this is interesting what you just said, because, you know, that being human, that being able to feel everything and things like that, and to be real. There is a lot being said about out-of-body experiences. If you follow those people who had out-of-body experiences or who do out-of-body experiences during their sleeps and everything, there's one guy, what's his face? Can't remember now. So bad with this, sorry. But the majority of people that have those experiences, they actually report back and saying that reality is more real than what you are experiencing here right now. So this is another thing, you know, we're thinking that we're losing our realness in this reality through letting go of those emotions that are man-made. We don't have to worry about that, because as we're starting to have those experiences outside of this reality, or in this reality, I shouldn't say outside in this but within this reality, without the boundaries, without the separation experience, without that, we will realize how little we actually have lived under the veil around the heart, around the mind, not connected to the divine consciousness. Because the divine consciousness got the potentiality, and we are limited. So the limitation cannot feel more alive than the possibilities out there. Alfredo, sorry, Jen, and then Alfredo.
Just that statement that you said about how much we're not living. Two things on that. How much we don't do things because we had that fear of something. We couldn't afford it, or it was dangerous or whatever. We do limit ourselves very much based on that fear. So how much fear can we overcome so that we do live? And then the other side of that is, like, how present are people in their lives? Because so many people, including myself, I have moments where I totally disassociate too. So how checked out are we that we're not even living because we're scrolling Facebook, or we're playing a video game, or we're just completely zoned out and we're not in the moment being present with the opportunity that we have in front of us to live now.
Absolutely. And that's No, that's a cool one because presence will have to redefine. Alfredo, go for it.
So my heart's been racing for like a few minutes.
All right.
Cause like, oh yeah, no, cause I just man, there's just so much, there's so many nuggets. Gosh, oh yeah, everything you said, Jen, yes, absolutely, because I've been realizing the less I get caught up on Facebook and all this bull crap on the internet and get off the internet, it just like, because my psychic senses are just like right in my face. I can just feel everything, you know. The more I'm just because I used to like, oh, let me check my Facebook, let me check all this stuff, and then when I come home, I'm looking at stuff, and just like I can't even do that because there's just so many psychic senses, sensory perceptions going on right now. Just like I got to destimulate from all this stuff because it's too much. It's like it's forcing me into go into the natural way. None of this excess stimulation, so I got to let it all go. But and it's good though because my psychic senses are coming alive. The more I just quit, get off the phone and get off the internet and just tune into the feelings and the sensations that are coming forth. But something you said, Jen, I was just thinking because I guess like I've been in the spirituality thing for so long, and it's just like, oh, you got to keep your energy feel clean, you got to be high vibe, you got to do all these things, and like I just like always like a label like I carry with me for the longest time. I've been letting it go bit by bit. It's like I make it a point to get the highest vibe I can before I go into work, so I can hold that high frequency, so none of this lower frequency stuff will impede upon my reality. But like, I came into work, high vibe, feeling real good. So, what's up, guys? So, oh yeah. And one of my assistant managers came back from the store. He was helping her for like 2 weeks. And then he came back and I was like, oh man, I'm so glad to see you, man. I'm so grateful you're here. I'm just happy, just flooding him with all this happiness. Like, man, yeah, you got a new perspective. You're a brand new man. And he's like, oh, what's up, man? Just being like super shady. I was like, man, what's going on? Like, God, I'm over here being open-hearted and you're just like throwing me all this shade. And I was like, man, what the F's going on, man? And just like after interacting with him, I just felt like shit. I was like, man, God, dang, I'm trying to keep my high vibes here. And I just had this interaction with someone I love and I just be like, shit. And I was like, man, I got to go take a 10. Like, I got to go breathe because I got to move this energy or whatever the hell it is. And I was like, I'm sorry, man. I'll quit showing you with all this gratefulness and just love. I'll just leave you alone, man. It's like, it's cool, man. It's cool. But come to find out, like later in the shift, he told me, he's like, man, I'm sorry, dude. I'm planning on transferring to a different store. I just didn't want to tell you. I don't want to let you down or let all the boys down because we got a brotherhood where I work at. We're just like super cool with each other. Like, it comes to like the business and the friendship. It's just like a strong brotherhood between everybody, which I love, and everybody loves that works here. It's just this, we just appreciate the brotherhood. But it just made me realize, man, I gotta be open-hearted to love and feel, and just feel this experience, and quit labeling with the spirituality like, oh, this is negative emotions, this is negativity, it's lowering my vibes. Like I had to have that experience to like, build trust with them, and like it made me think of the trust and mistrust that Linda was talking about, and like all this stuff. It's like I had to, go through that experience because just it brought us closer. Like you just came into the cooler. We always go to the cooler when we talk about, stuff that we got to keep off the floor. It's like we'll go to the cooler, just talk to me for like, I don't know, probably like 10 or 15 minutes. The managers had to come by and help out in the front because we were back there so long. Chit chat is like just being so open with me. It's like, man, you guys are so cool. All this stuff happened. It's like, so and so getting fired and yada yada. It's like I gotta move because they're putting too much pressure on me, too much corporate pressure, because they try to mold people into a certain way, like just turning into, to me, like they just turn people into chess pieces. Like we're gonna mold you this way, and then we're gonna move you this store. And like he's just telling me how he feels. Like, man, I don't want to be dishonest with you guys. Y'all are my boys. Y'all are my, y'all are my people. It's like, yeah, I know, man. You could be honest with me. I'm just an honest dude, just so you're the first person I'm telling, man, because you're the only person I can come to about this stuff, because I got to talk about it with somebody. It's like, man, we're still cool, man. Make the decision that's best for you. Don't worry about me or us, all this stuff, man. But yeah, it just made me think about that. I got to be open to feel stuff, man. Can't be caught up in the spirituality. Got to maintain the hard vibes. Can't be having negative energy, and like I still got to go out there and have experiences.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the spirituality identity that I've adopted and just trapped myself in for the longest time. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thanks for that, because I think you're not the only one. There's lots of people who get caught in that sort of net of spirituality, whatever that means. And in reality, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I've always worked on the level of self-development. Self-realization is maybe a word that I added afterwards, but it was all about the knowingness that there was more out there. And I didn't know what was the more that was out there until now. I know it's that, you know, there's just more about our existence that we have not been shown, we have not seen yet. And now it's a time to get ready for that. And I think you mentioned experience a couple of times, and I think this is something to really drive home. Because also in the education, I mean, the education system is falling apart and things like that, because look, it's driven by government, it's driven through politics and economics, has fuck all to do really with what, you know, it's no longer natural. It makes absolutely no sense. And I think, you know, and lots of people now, and I can see this, you know, even in the corporate, that people with experience are being actually preferred to people with, you know, titles or year-long studies, because we're really moving away from the conceptualization into experience, because we're needing people who know how to deal with the shit that's going down, not people who've read it in a book. And yes, we're all very well read, and, you know, and all of that, but it's that old emulation business, you know, where you got to start applying it. And when we start say applying it, what does it mean to you? And if there's a paragraph in any book, it doesn't matter. It can have a million different interpretations. The main thing is that somebody made an effort to read it, because it did do something to them to keep at it, right? And at the end of the day, we create everything. It's like, to give you an example, you know, with my drawings, I drew some little entity, let's call it a being. And I've drawn many, and that one all of a sudden, like, oh, you're speaking to me? All right. And then all of a sudden I made a connection to something that Andrew was channeling at some stage. And I remember when he did, I was really, really like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I transcribed that session years ago. And I realized what I was drawing was part of that species, part of that collective. I was like, oh my God, I brought you into being. I created you. I brought you into my perception. And since then, we've been working together. And this little shit, I mean, you know, non-duality. It's like the questions I'm asking is, he can't answer them. He says, what are you talking about? He says, I don't want to know this. He says to me, I'm not your teacher. Stop this teaching bullshit. So let's have some fun. And don't put meaning to all of that. This is what I can do. What can you do? Show me. What is it like? I want to feel. Eat some ice cream. I want to know what ice cream is. I'm like, okay, have an ice cream. Oh my God, that's great. You know, having that interaction. That reminds me what we said earlier on of like looking through the eyes of another. He wants to look through my eyes. He wants to perceive the world through, even though he's got 300-strand DNA. So I can only let him in for 2 seconds before, you know, or maybe 5 minutes before I start getting sick. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. It's like, whoa, but let's share. He's totally into sharing. And that was so interesting, because when he first came in, I thought, okay, great. Now I'm going to start channeling, right? Finally. Of course, I'm not channeling. This is not good, you know. So he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, you know, that kind of thing. And it was hilarious.
Oh my.
It was like, he was very non-dualistic. And I remembered that from what I had learned 10, 15 years ago. And needless to say, as it so happened, synchronistically, next thing is I watch I get a video in about non-dualism, but in a very different way than I first came across it. And it's like, this makes so much sense. Amazing. So, and this is that curiosity, this curiosity of learning, curiosity of experiencing. And he is so strongly, he says, I don't want to talk about this shit. He said, I want experience. Let's experience something. And I'm like, okay, I get it. So all these things he's been throwing at me is very high, like big picture.
That's how the dragons have been the last few years, is they come in and they want to be seen. And so they ask to be drawn so that they can be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is so that they get brought into this realm, right? It doesn't even matter if I get their likeness right. I mean, if their frequency is part of that, then they get brought into this realm and they're able to experience some of this. But then also, like, when you share that, they get brought into 100 people's perception or 200 people because they see it on there. And so they can start to become a little bit part of their realities, and they can experience through all of us. Exactly. And the theme lately has been have fun. Like, you've done all the work that was essential to get to where you are. Have fun, enjoy it, have the experience. And that is where we are in the energy now, is finding your joy, learning how to just have fun and not be so serious about the things that were important to be serious about 2 years ago for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's also, he's a shapeshifter, obviously, of note. He can shift into anything, which started, I had to look at my sovereignty and said, okay, well, how is my trust? What's my intuition? Can I let you in? Is this safe? And all of that, you got to look at that, obviously. But then it also made me realize that this whole word of selfish, think of selfish. How many times in the old days, and I think we can start saying the old days, we got beaten up by being selfish, doing our own thing and all of that. Now, having worked with him, he just keeps reminding me that there is no such thing as selfishness in oneness. Because if you're selfish, you are nurturing the entire allness. By looking after yourself, by nourishing yourself, you are at the same time allowing other people to look through your eyes. So be as selfish as you want. The more selfish, the better. Because there is only one, right?
Because that means I'm working on myself. And I'm working on myself, is the reveal my
ripples out, yeah, to all the others, yeah. If I work on myself, you guys get something out of it. If you work it, we get something out of it, because that's the idea. We can shift into each other, and then that's the perception, that's still that concept, obviously, that we're still working with, but there is a curiosity behind this. There's an energy, there's a spark, there's electricity, there's a spirit behind it. Now, of course, we need to have experiences more and more. And this is something interesting, because I've been looking at this electricity a little bit, because I looked at, this, looking at the heart, looking at the mind, the mental body being, some people call the mental body the spiritual body, whereas the emotional body is the astral body, solar plexus. Now we know once the solar plexus get cleared out, it comes into the heart. So we can work with the mental body, the spiritual body. Now, mental is very much connected to the male, right? The logic. It's connected to spirit. It's connected to electricity. It's connected to communication. It's connected to all of that, to the throat, authentic, authentic communication. So, and then most of us have listened to Linda's posting, Linda and Alexander's posting, and she was saying in February we have more electricity come in. So what does that mean? Do we have more spirit coming in? Do we have more male mental thought energy coming in that connects us to the universal mind? And how does that change the electromagnetic energy field? With the electric being connected to the electron, to the male that supports the proton, the female. So it's quite interesting, you know, to look at all of that. And at the moment, I can't really make sense of it. But also the electricity is that spark, right? And that electricity, for me, it's not necessarily elemental at this moment in time. I can't say it's fire, I can't say it's water, I can't say it's air or ether. What do you get of that? Does that, I don't know if that makes any sense what I said, but that's what I'm looking into at the moment, to bring all of that, to merge all of that together and see how that impacts. What would you say?
Because there's a lots of elements in our world that we are not able to perceive. And you're talking about something that we are normal senses that we have in the moment consciousness, that we not perceive what is behind that. And you have something that we don't see it right. We are normal, you know, senses. We have to go a little.
Yeah,
deeper.
well, I'm inviting us to, it might lead us dead end completely, but for some reason, I think it could be interesting to look at all of that, and because it's how does it impact on our DNA? How does it impact on the molecular structure, you know? She also mentions, you know, the spiritual path being the inner path. Now, yeah, makes a lot of sense. Whereas the proton, you know, or the proton, I think she said, being the outer path, you know, it's all very interesting. How does it go together with gender? How does it really go together with the yin yang, our gender polarities we've been talking about, the change in the roles of male and female? You know, is now the male finally coming in as the support? But now the question is, with the spirit, with the male, with the electron, with the mental body, all of that coming in, can the female receive it? Of course, we're not just talking you and me, Herminia and Jen, we're talking the female receiving
in general
in the atom.
Yeah.
There's definitely a change happening in the male support system, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it's just a very personal perception on my side that all of a sudden I can receive the male, the bastardization of the male that we've had for eons of time is changing. And of course, the same for the female.
Yeah.
And all of that. So that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, but what did you say? That because the people, I just watched a portion of the video. I never heard about her before because I have been very detached from everything that had to be astrology for many years. However, she mentioned something about the people that like we are looking for, you know, answer and doing our inner work. That's what I understood, that we will be able to recognize, you know, and accept it and adapt it to this construction that's going to happen, because everything that we have, humanity has created like a real, and that's all those standards that we have in all this level in political, economic level, that everything going to be like scrambled down, then if we know that it's because it's a changing that coming, that we'll be able to adjust it. Like Jen was saying, that she was not afraid to what's going to happen because you just experience and adjusting yourself and make the adjustment to whatever is happening in my surrounding, and to be able to keep navigating the experience. And I think that that's going to be in the older level, in the social too, because we women, so that we are experiencing life now in this experience in the feminine body, but since the 60s was like a revolution that became like a competition, that women took this role of I can do it myself, and then became a completely self-defeating, because we were trying to do in this battle instead of being this integration and collaboration, and ask for the level of respect in the same level and consideration for one another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is what brings up the anger as well again, because that is a huge shift, right? Because we're coming out of this, oh, we want to be equal, we want to be equal. What does equality mean? Equality means, again, if we look at the atom, you know, or even if we look at the, you know, what you call it, those no, doesn't matter, I can't think of it. Look at the atom, the female, the proton, attracts the electron, right?
Yes.
Now, the electron comes in to support.
Yeah, and the neutral one, it has to be the two forces to coming together with the neutral one to be able to
Exactly.
come back.
But we can't have two electrons, we can't have two, you know, protons. We need to have that receiving. And that's going to be, that is interesting, because the male giving, the female receiving. So then it's like, you know, as soon as the gender, you know, sort of, oh, okay, now we're equal. No, fuck that. Now we're going to turn it all, flip it again. No, you know, what does it really mean? What is equality? What does liberty? What that fraternity does? Three, you know, quite powerful words. What does it actually really mean? And how, once we start appreciating what it means, how is our economy and social life and culture and spiritual actually changing?
And that's, I can see the chaos that some people thinking about it, because imagine all the structure that we have in all levels, education, if everything going to scramble down, I mean, could you imagine some people won't be able to accept it, or to how I can say, to be able to deal with, because it will be too much to the structure that I have to go this way and not right, not left. And then when this crumble down, that is going to be a big challenge.
Absolutely.
It's a big challenge.
It's not going to be
a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, and look, it's not going to be enough to say, I walk barefoot on the earth and ground it all in, because frankly, the next level of realization is that you are the earth. So where's the earth going to ground it? So you have to get the channel yourself as the grounding tool and think beyond walking barefoot on the earth, in that place of oneness. And that, some people would say, takes up the responsibility. On the other hand, you could say, well, the motivation has just been raised. And then you could also say, well, now it's really getting exciting, because now we can step in and forward as the true potential that we are.
You know, that's mentioned me. One of my friends told me that we can act for inspiration or deprivation because we are desperate we have to take action. Desperate to take action or be inspired for the situation.
It's like we have to go beyond ideas, ideals, and ordeals. We have to go into experience. And experience comes with failure. It comes with many attempts. If it doesn't work, well, great. Let's do something else, right?
Yeah.
It comes with trust. It comes with faith. Where does choices come from? From that place of faith. They don't come really from a place of conscious, you know, sort of like structure. How are we doing time-wise? What we can do, so okay, we've already up there. Good. What we can do, if you guys like, we can read. I've got a anger revocation in my book. You can read. I don't think it's it's only 3 pages. If you want, I can read it.
Okay.
Yeah, shall we do that? Does anyone have a book to share the reading, or shall I just read it all the way through? Okay. And then
can you share screen or like you did the last one?
I got it in the book. Otherwise, I have to. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
So just enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's anger, fury, rage, hate, and frustration, and it goes back to clearing that divided belief system. So what are you trying to prove with your anger? Well, what I've got here, and we can do this if you want to. It's revocation with alternate nostril breathing. Are you familiar with alternate nostril breathing? Where you take the index finger and the middle finger here, and the thumb can go onto the chin somewhere. And you breathe out first, and then you close the left nostril, inhale with the right, close both nostrils, hold it there, exhale left, inhale left, close both nostrils, exhale right, inhale right, close both nostrils, exhale left, inhale left. That's alternate nostril, Nadi showed it, but you don't have to do it. So, but it's set up like that. So I go straight, you can carry on doing that or not. I go straight into the revocation. I, in this ever-present moment of now, summon all my DNA ancestors of the past, present, and future, my angelic guardians and guides, my soul brothers and sisters, to hold space and bear witness to my declaration and demand of myself to dismantle any walls of false protection. I'm here to let go of any weapons of self-destruction and to fortify my reality as a sovereign universal citizen. I herewith reinforce clear and healthy boundaries to dream the new dream of peace, wealth, and happiness. I herewith ask the universal quantum entanglements to support my request for joyful creation with ease. I claim balanced health and ever-growing prosperity, and inspired and multidimensional co-creation to the best and highest good for mankind and myself. I acknowledge the daily synchronicities and mystical experiences assisting me to explore and expand my awareness manifold, as well as helping me make infinite possibilities manifest beyond my wildest imagination. I herewith spit out the lies of mass distraction, spoken or unspoken. Everything I bought and sold and made real for me that actually isn't, I herewith return with gratitude for the learned lesson. As I start choosing for me and as me, I perceive, know, be, and receive the contributions to my highest spiritual evolution within this global dreamtime awakening. And I start having experiences full of richness and joy. I now let go of any frustrations, irritations, and limitations that keep me stuck in this global narrative of misconception. I declare to finally step into my sovereignty and signature frequency of the healed healer and potent co-creator. I, in this ever-present moment of now, claim back every moment of rage I have ever had and every word in vengeance I have ever written or spoken. I reduce the charge and polarity to 0 minus infinity so I may return to my sacred and neutral balance. All energy of rage stored inside me, I now transmute and transform into positive intention and focus. I acknowledge the sour taste of anger and mistrust as I call upon my lifetimes as a student and master of alchemy, turning all depression and regression into creation, inspiration, and dreams. All angry energies that has been seeping into my liver and pericardium through tacit consent and lack of boundaries over eons of time, and now become a magical practitioner for myself to unravel the rage weave so that I don't have to sit in it every day. I reach into all corners of my home and body to pull off the energy from all the negative webs that I have created and clear them with my invisible sage stick. I herewith dispose of all these distortions from my heart, every cell of my body and environment. Every outburst of rage that I have ever chosen for not being heard, seen, and acknowledged for the awakener that I am, I forgive myself and others. I do not hold any grudges against religions, governments, media, or any other authority that has been stifling my authentic knowingness. I now transform and transmute all residual images of rage in this and other lifetimes. I herewith claim my choice of living as a sovereign being in this polarized reality. I acknowledge my divine adventure, spirit, having chosen the harshness of this place and its multitude of traps and misguidance, now releasing all forms of victimhood. I'm here to make meaningful memories, to create a long-term legacy for the ancient soul inside of me. To all my deformed, contorted, twisted, bent, skewed, altered, artificially modified selves that have been wounded, lost, and forgotten in the trenches of war and conflict, I now give them healing and the choice to move on to wherever they choose to. I herewith listen to the native bloodline telling me to stop playing small or get the hell out of the lineage. I appreciate the intensity of the message as a way of getting me to claim my legacy of becoming a grand master of sacred communication with the blood ancestors, living and non-living. I'm ready to call upon my ancestors and bring forth their ancient wisdom, as well as part with mine in non-competition and non-hierarchy. As I claim the amount of anger and frustration in me, I acknowledge all the on and off-world implants and destroy and uncreate them. I also claim any and all amount of anger that I have taken on into my auric field from others through empathetic entanglement, in ignorance and unawareness. I now transmute and send it back, including its electromagnetic imprinting to whence it came from, never to return to this body and this environment again. All portals are closed. All oaths, vows, agreements, and entangled cords that I have with any rage entities, demons, ghosts, shadow parts, and aspects that taunt, ridicule, judge, anger, infuriate, mock, provoke, insult, tease, and torment, and now revoke, recant, rescind, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate. I take the mantle of responsibility to change my rage, transforming and transmuting it into love and compassion for myself and all sentient kind. I demand that all demons associated with anger, rage, fury, and hate, which are locked and bound to my body, life, and soul through sacred orders, break the fealties and free themselves to return to whence they came from. Return and never come back to this reality again. Your service contracts have now ended, and all portals and leaks have been closed and sealed, as I am no longer a signature frequency matched to the dark night of the soul. I end the rage at the deepest core of my being and allow love to be the healer of rage, age, ancestors, and soul families in this fifth world of peace. Everywhere I refuse to step into my true authentic potency or choose repressed enthusiasm over inspiration, passion, and dreams, I now destroy and uncreate all the decisions, judgments, conclusions, computations, projections, and expectations leading to this refusal. all the stupidity and incarcerations that I'm using to control something or somebody in order to maintain my interest in prejudice rather than change, and I'll transform into clarity, wisdom, and the joyful bliss of my inner authentic knowing. Whatever I've made so significant in finding beauty and kindness in others, in serving others' egos to the detriment of my own assets, gifts, dreams, and desires, I now claim back my powers, my boundaries of autonomy and integrity, clearing and cleansing the polluted waters of creation, fully affirming trust and confidence in myself. If I have to be persuaded, reminded, pressured, lied to, incentivized, coerced, bullied, socially shamed, guilt-tripped, threatened, punished, criminalized for others to gain my compliance, I can be absolutely certain that what is being promoted is not in my best interest. And I destroy and I create all that. I herewith declare that I'm no longer available to forced and angry signature frequency matches. As a self-aware and sovereign being, I resolve all karma with any frustrated or hateful being, organization, establishment, foundation, institute, secret society, association, corporation, agency, entity, and replace any negative self-talk and limiting belief with empowering thoughts and positive actions. I am a unified being, no longer falling prey to rage, fury, and anger. And I'll choose whatever potency I've been refusing to create and manifest with divine source and great mystery. I now enter this declaration into the earthly, galactic, and universal Akashic records for all sentient kind to witness and understand that our freedom comes with the use of free will at all times. And so it is. Aho.
Aho.
Oh, freaking ho. Holy crap, that was strong.
Yeah, did you enjoy it?
Wow. That was
Yeah.
life-changing. Holy crap.
Oh, good.
That was... Maybe I don't do enough nostril breathing while listening to powerful readings, you know?
Oh, good.
Golly.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Did you feel that the nostril breathing was a good combo?
Yeah, I never do it because I'm so caught up, like, oh, I would have the blissful, you know, but this is a blissful breathing practice. I just poo-pooed it a lot of times, like, whatever, I don't got time for that. I'm trying to get the DMT experience. But that was like, I just was feeling more and more invigorated, like, yeah, like, oh yeah, just, I loved I loved what I was hearing. It's just like, yeah, yes, just,
This is one way. Thank you. This is one way. And I find I've written revocations for fear, anger, sadness, guilt, shame, blame, all of it, all different. I call it the clearing marbles. Now, this is one way of dealing with it. It's not the only way. Yeah, it's a very strong way. It's a very potent way. And then, of course, there's the other way of where we are befriending the emotion and we're dropping into it, we're surrendering into it. And this is another way. So there are so many different tools that we can use in order to work with all those emotions that are still surfacing. And that probably need a little bit of a kick up the arse.
Yeah, I saw like people from different energy, different shape, form, different area.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You find a lot of that because, you know, anger is very much associated with the anger revocation as one of the clearings. A lot of those clearings actually are familiar. If people are familiar with access consciousness, when I wrote these things, I was still using a lot of that. And those clearings are very potent. And having done the entity clearings, a lot of the anger we find in the demonic and the ghostly sort of energies and entities. So that go back to whence you came from is very much one of their access consciousness clearings, as I mentioned in the book. But it's very potent, it's very powerful, and it doesn't create separation. It just really says, look, this is me. I'm no longer available for that, because I'm ready to go back to divine consciousness. And if I drag you with me, first of all, they won't let me in.
Yeah.
There's a door to get in.
Yes.
But also I can no longer do this because I have a responsibility not to contaminate, you know, the people that I actually work with, you know.
It's like I unplug myself from from you. It's something like that. Or whatever it is. Because it doesn't have to be really a person, it can be anything that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, absolutely, yeah. And seen, unseen, and the whole dimensional range, you know, because we find them everywhere. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, it's just a different level of perception, a different level of awareness. It's not a different space, it's not a different time, it's not a different location. It's really that becoming really aware of what we've been saying many times before. It's you are not going anywhere. Everything is moving through you. And that moment, and I, you know, when you think of the cross, everything is moving through you vertically, horizontally. And this point here, that Junya, that still point, this is where your heart is. This is where everything meets. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that needs to be clear, that needs to be open, that needs to be connected to all that is. And in order to have that trust and faith that that is working along those lines, we have to do all this other shit. Clear the gut, clear the mind, clear the throat, clear everything else. All right. Well, thank you so much for playing. I really enjoyed that. Recording is going out. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your contributions. The book is available on Amazon if anybody wants to.
I will check it. I will check it out. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, and I'll see you guys next week. Yeah. And
Bye.
stay away from anger or drop
Bye,
it.
Fred, and bye again. Nice to see you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.